Paul, I know a lot of companies these days are promoting automation, a lot of suppliers. We do see a fair bit of it in the marketplace, but probably not to the extent that we're seeing here today at Rotec Engineering. Why have you invested in these Halter robots on your machine tools?
Basically, Rotec's history really was we started off with actually cam autos, capstans in the very early days, and then we moved quickly to sliding head after the first year or so. We've learned from our experience with sliding head machines and proper automation, where we can actually get whole weeks and weekends runs with no interaction by the operator apart from inspection. We wanted to actually use those lessons we've learned and try and replicate it on larger machines, which unfortunately aren't supported in the same way as the likes of the Stars and Citizens are. When we saw the Halter technology, it was something we latched onto very quickly. Unfortunately for us, again, we were first in the UK to do this, and we felt that this is the future of manufacturing in the UK. This is the way it's going to go. It's not about getting rid of operators, it's all about having consistent cycle times that are reliable. With a robot, if it's going to take a minute and 30 seconds or 10 minutes, it's going to take 10 minutes, and you're going to get 10 minutes and another 10 minutes. They're relentless. They just keep going and going and going. So providing your process is robust and you can put your energy and resource into getting the process right, we can end up getting a whole weekend's production of machine parts, where actually that wouldn't have otherwise happened without having a skeleton crew of staff on. So nowadays, because of our lessons again with the sliding head, we already have skeleton crews coming in to manage the sliding head machines with inspection, oil levels, that kind of thing. So all we can do is piggyback off those same people to actually run these other machines on with the robots, which is fantastic.
What's the reliability of them?
Like anything else, it's down to the amount of effort you put in up front. I mean, the machine themselves are very reliable. It's just getting a robust process, and once you get the process right.
And how long does that take? I mean, let's look at this from the outside looking in. Someone that is currently using maybe a man to continually load parts to the machine. How long did it take you to adopt this? How long from when you thought about it to it was actually up and running?
Well, from when we actually placed the order and put the Halter robot in, immediately we started to reevaluate our base of work, subcontract work, and started diverting work towards these particular machines. And what we find now is we're making parts that were traditionally made on lathes on milling machines and vice versa. It's a little bit strange because you have to recalibrate your thinking a little bit, because now you've suddenly got this automation on a milling machine that you didn't have before, which is fantastic. So for us, we were up and running very quickly. We already had parts that were predestined for these machines, so it was a question of just making it work. In terms of getting the machine, the beauty of these Halter machines is just with a simple, they're not actually bolted to the ground. We have special filter that sunk into the ground. And just with a pallet truck, you can move the machine one machine to another in 20 minutes. As soon as you plug it into the interface, it recognises the machine it's on and brings up the library of work that you've already done on that machine. So actually the process of moving it and resetting it is very, very quick. I mean, to move it from one machine to the other is probably 30 minutes. To actually set up an existing job and make it run on that job is probably only 20 minutes, depending on what jaws you have on that.
I always thought when Hyfore started supplying these in the UK that they were onto a bit of a winner. I know I think you were one of the first to embrace it, but I'm sure there's been maybe a few since then. But things like that are critical, aren't they? The fact that you can move this from one machine to another in, say, 30 minutes.
No, it's incredible, really. I mean, obviously, it's a big investment, and the beauty of it is obviously you can meet the work. Tends to. We always say here that if every section was busy all the time, we'd make a fortune. But unfortunately, one section goes a little bit quieter, another section gets overloaded. And the beauty of this is you can move the technology around to where you're overloaded and actually help or divert work away from the loaded section to the sections maybe that you couldn't do without the robot. So
it is very evident as well, because I know with Hyfore supplying this product, this Halter robot, you can put them on any machine tool. You can interface them, and it's evident here that you've got a milling machine. Is that a 5-axis machine from DMG Mori that you've got?
Yeah. So we have on this Halter robot here, we have it on a 2-axis lathe. Over here we have a full 5-axis DMU 50. Which we actually, we bought the machine really for prototyping work. We're doing quite a bit of Formula 1 work, which is very seasonal, but we're having a lot of problems keeping up with that in the winter time. But since we put the robot on it, what we're finding is now we're putting more and more standard production work. So we've turned what really was perceived as a prototype machine, really, and now we're using it. It's becoming one of our best production machines because we're doing parts on it.
This is what I was thinking, because you've got the Nakamura 2-axis lathe and then the other DMG Mori machine. What you've done is you've put a robot on two completely different machine tools, so it gives you the most flexibility, doesn't it? If a job comes in, whether it's primarily milling or primarily turning, you can put it on whichever suits best.
Absolutely, and the reason we bought two robots is because basically there's two configurations on the head. You either have a head that can pick up circular parts or a head that can pick up square parts. And while we can change them over, that takes a little bit more time. So we felt we'd have one robot for each, and we just move them around to wherever we need them, and it works really well for us.
So you've got one robot for your prismatic and one for your round.
Yeah. I mean, either robot can do either or, but you've just got to change. It's just a little bit more time to change the heads over.
Yeah. And now, would you consider rolling these out throughout your factory? Do you think two's enough for you, or
absolutely.
could you?
I mean, absolutely. It depends on on the workflow at the time, but we're still going through a process. I mean, at Rotec, we pride ourselves on having many customers and many small customers, and the small ones are actually just as important, if not more important, than the big ones, because it gives us stability and consistency. So what that means is, because we've got such a huge bank of work that we do for different customers, it's quite a long process to kind of engineer that work to actually go on this different type of technology.
But what about things like the weight of the parts that you can hold, and also health and safety? I noticed there's no, could I walk into that robot and do myself an injury?
Not at all, no. It's got this laser safety system on it. We do sometimes put a very simple, the extendable fence around them, because the problem is people are so curious about them, they tend to walk up and want to get closer, which actually cuts the robot off, which is frustrating, because it will, if you get within a certain zone, it will slow down to 10% of its original speed. If you get too close, it will shut itself down completely, which then sets the machine cycle down, which is frustrating, because in most of it does generate a lot of curiosity, which is one of the biggest problems actually.
And what about the weight of part you can hold on the grippers?
On this particular model, we can hold up to 20 kilos, which is ample for what we want to do at the moment. I think they can go up to about 40 or 50.
40 or 50 kilos. So you can. There is a big diversity or range of parts that you.
Absolutely, yeah, there is.
And the installation from Hyfore, did it go smoothly? I mean, the integration, you're not just talking about a machine tool from one supplier, you've got several different suppliers, because obviously these robots can go on any machine.
Yeah, when they came down, they interfaced the machine on the EcoMill 1100, which is a DMG Mori machine, the DMU50, and also the Nakamura AS200, all in, and there was no problem. It was just a standard kit of parts. There's a bit of interaction with the machine tool supplier to get the various codes for the control or whatever they do, but there was no issue with any of it. The Halter guys are very experienced, know what they're doing, and obviously we've got a way into these companies at the right levels where they can get the information they need.
And just to give me some clarity and our viewers as well, my final point here, Paul, is the very fact that you embarked upon this journey not talking about reducing the cycle times. That wasn't the critical factor here. The factor was a continuous machining, minimising downtime, and reliable component manufacture. All of those points were the reasons behind these purchase. Not just about getting a part off instead of 48 seconds down to 35. It's about keeping that production running smoothly and efficiently.
Absolutely. I mean, we look at our business very much as we have a sales part of the business. We have an engineering function where and then we have the production floor. We try and look at the production floor as one machine, effectively. So it's looking at how much is that costing us, how well we're utilising it, and what we can invest, what we need to invest to get the best possible utilisation out of that production floor. Whether it be more staff, more training, more equipment, more technology. The whole thing with this process for us, obviously we have to put a lot of support around it internally and externally from the likes of ETG and DMG Mori, these companies, to actually make all the magic happen. You can't just buy this equipment and expect the magic to happen on its own. You've got to put a lot of effort and have the right people to actually, the right motivation to make.
And magic has happened?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I mean, sometimes when you come in at the weekend, I can come in to see what's going on. I walk in, I see two robots making me, very high-tech prismatic parts that have got a 4-hour cycle time. I know I'm going to get 20 parts over the weekend. That's awesome.